and welcome to all of you for participating in this call. I'm P.S. Reddy, MD and CEO. With me, Mr. Satyajit Bolar is our CFO in this conference, and Mr. Praveen DG looks after the investor relations. So is Mr. Vijay Iyer. Let me take you through a few numbers, especially the business for the entire financial year that we had. The years we had about 31,404 crores ADT as against last year 32,550 crores ADT. So we're almost all there. Yes, maybe 1,000 crores less per day kind of thing, and that's reflected in our operation income, as you can see that. We had also this year about 254 trading days as against 258 trading days last year. Having said this, let me also say that the total clients traded in this current financial year is increased by 14%. Last year we had unique client code. What I'm talking about is that 4 lakh are the ones which were traded last financial year. This year we have 4,57,000 is this year we have traded. So that's a decent progress given the kind of challenges we have faced in the first quarter. You are all aware first quarter our numbers were very depressing. The situation was like that, and the trading number of full trading days were also substantially reduced because of COVID. And we have recovered from that, and we've come a long way, thanks to our all stakeholders who have supported us through this difficult time. The number of unique clients who traded on a average clients traded on a daily basis just marginally increased on a daily basis last year. It has come down. It's about 62,000 we used to have, and now we had only 55,000 clients have traded. Again, the crude oil negative pricing in the month of April has impacted for a long time, and it dragged our revenue substantially. It's only sometime in the month of December we have recovered from that onslaught of the negative pricing. And still we couldn't recover because the margins are at 20% as against maybe internationally it's about 10 to 15%, of course, depending on the volatility in the stock. These are the two numbers. These are the few numbers that I have. But thanks to the COVID, new ways of living, new ways of learning to do business has come, and our expenses have been brought down. That's where Mr. Bolar will explain to you. So something which we could control. If I have no control on the top line, at least I should have control on these costs, so that we will be able to do justice for the working. Then you have some of the numbers, concentration of members to total turnover. Last year we had about top 10 accounted for 52.38, and this financial year we have almost at 60%. This concentration is increased primarily due to algo players coming in, and some of the smaller players, or maybe some of the players who have a retail base have gone out because of this, again, crude oil negative pricing. There's a huge client reduction in that crude oil contract, but otherwise other contracts are reasonably doing well. So this is something which concentration has increased, and we are working on it. We are making plans to bring back some of these members, some of their associated persons into the trading system. This is one part of it. And there is also, obviously, as I said, algo players concentration has increased. It was 1920, we had 37.15. Now in 2021, we have 41% algo players concentration. And new algo players are also coming. At this point in time, they have not taken membership, but they have come via a big broker. It's an internationally reputed firm. And still some more are waiting to join in the current financial year. This being what I said, and the mobile trading, this is also shows that the more and more people are participating. Maybe retail participation, this can be a one indicator. In 1920, 20%, 21% rather, has come through the mobile trading. The turnover has come through, and in the 2021 we had 27% transactions have come through the mobile trading. Again, the new clients who have joined this year have contributed almost about 24% to our ADT. That's a good number, as against last year, about 18% have contributed. That's a good, progress that we got. These are the numbers that I wanted to give you. Now over to Mr. Bolar, who will be speaking on the financial results. Yes, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy, and good evening. As already published the financials, you have seen it. There'll be a lot of queries, I'm sure. Just wanted to touch base that our top line for the full financial year, there's a drop of 9 crores, mainly on account, if you have examined our quarterly results, so mainly as, our income from other sources, which consists of treasury income, because of the volatility in the debt market, which fluctuated substantially during the quarter, we have been able to book around 11 crores as compared to around 23 crores that we generally book. But on the flip side, as Mr. Reddy said, we have been able to keep our expenses under control and arrest it. So our direct expenses also we have been able to recover about 10 crores. Operational and other expenses we have been able to recover 4 crores. This is in addition to the provision that we made for the CSR, because the government has changed the mandate for CSR in January 21, in which they have mandated that we have to make provision for CSR expenses that of earlier years, in case there's any unspent amount. So our CSR committee met and sanctioned the amount, but unfortunately because of COVID, everything could not be dispersed. Most of it could not be dispersed, but we made an additional provision of around 4.14 crores to be precise in the quarter ended March 21. So this was a major reason for the expenses to be, there's a slight quarter on quarter operational expenses has shown a increase in that. But the biggest hit is because we took a hit of 15 crores on quarter on account of the taxation. When we met last time in December, I had mentioned that we were advised that, we have to take the tax calculation would be based on the budget. So when we did the budget working for the whole year and the income tax, taxable income for the whole year, compared it with the budget and, there's a provision that we made. So we had a taxable income as per the Income Tax Act, but there was a MAT entitlement. So because of that, we took a credit and there was a credit of 4 crores. So when we closed the year, unfortunately, when the figures were, when we actually closed the year in March, so there's a turnaround of 11 crores in the income tax. So there's basically a hit of 15 crores that we took on a quarter to quarter on the income tax figure. Otherwise, on a annual basis, we have been flat. I mean, in spite of the COVID situation and the trying times that we have all gone through, Mr. Reddy said we've been able to control our expenses. A lot of the expenses have been controlled under traveling, advertisement. We have stopped advertising in the print media. Under his guidance, we're now mainly into digital and electronics. So print media we have stopped to a large extent. And all other expenses, wherever we could, we have reduced it. So there's a big fall in the expense part. Yeah. I'll be happy to take detailed questions on our finances. Yeah. And tax, as I mentioned, so this is, as I mentioned earlier, that the main reason for the tax was in December when we closed, we had a MAT entitlement, which resulted in a credit of 4.5 crores. And when we closed March for the whole financial year, because the tax calculation was done for the whole financial year, there's not only a tax, under the normal tax also, we have been able to utilize a MAT credit of 8 crores. So last time I said in 1920, when we closed financials of March 19, we had a MAT credit of 20 crores. So out of that 20 crores, we have been able to utilize 8 crores. And the average rate of tax is around 18.62%, which we have been consistently saying it is around 19 to 20%. So this year also it's around 18.62%. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, open for questions, please. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from BM Capital Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. So 2 questions, sir. Firstly, you said that your operating expenses are in control. How much of that is sustainable, or do you think this will increase as you go forward in FY22?
Yes.
If you look at our operating expenses, one is the employee cost. So the employee cost would remain, obviously we will have to invest on employees, so that would be this year also, we should remember that we had the negative pricing. So because of the negative pricing, we had an additional expense of almost 2 crores on legal and professional. So hopefully going forward, we would not have that expense. And we have been able to substantially save on traveling, which I assume would continue because of the COVID situation, advertisement, business promotion. So I have a feeling, once if we change the way we conduct our business, so probably these expenses would be, going forward also we'll be able to contain them, reduce them. Yeah.
What is the update on the trading software, is there an update which you can share?
Yeah, sure. We have gone ahead with the TCS, you are aware of it, and we have drawn out the milestones for 3 drops, essentially 3 deliveries, which will happen. And those ones will be completed as we planned. And we are looking at going live sometime in the month of July. And that is what at this point in time. Our contract is there till September 22. And so far the progress has been very good, satisfactory, put it that way.
So does it change our cost line items under the new contract?
Should be my view, but then immediately it doesn't, because maybe some depreciation will also take place on the assets that we buy, and over a period of time, maybe 3 to 5 years time, it should change the way that we are accounting for these expenses.
Because there'll be certain, we'll be employing additional staff from our side for the IT. So those expenses would go up. But once we go live and we're able to amortize what we can, then the useful life the useful life will be amortized. But I think the running cost would be drastically reduced.
Yeah.
Okay. So running cost will go down, but amortization will go up. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, because whatever the project cost, we like to amortize it, because the technology being so gets developed. It keeps changing so frequently that we'd like to keep it at a reasonable rate and amortize it over 6 to 8 years. So obviously there would be some increase in amortization costs.
Understood, sir. Answering FY22, which are the products you think will be introduced, and which are the growth drivers you're looking forward to? That's my last question. Thank you.
Yeah, but our main flagship contracts will continue to do well, and we are trying to deepen those products lines also. There's no doubt about it. And we will be launching few more products, especially our contract bull decks and metal decks. Just last year, sometime in August, we launched. In October, we launched metal decks. Now, they have seen good traction. They're doing well. And from 1st April onwards, we started charging also on the transaction fees. And we expect these products to do well in the current financial year. And this is one important thing. And we will also be introducing some more products subject to regulatory approval. One is the aluminum alloy, and then another one is the steel rebars. And let us see. Once we get the necessary approvals, then we will be able to launch before the September this year. These are the lines of business that we are looking at it.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I request all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Anshuman Ved from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, sir. So I have 2 questions. One is regarding the volumes that we saw from the 1st of March since the upfront margin norm increased. So if you could tell us the impact of this increase in upfront margin norms, if any, in the MCX volume, because we have not seen similar impact in the equity markets in a big way. That is one question. And second is the spot gold exchange that is being talked about, and there is a consultation paper also which has been initiated. So MCX, what can be the opportunity for MCX, and if there is somebody else who operates that spot exchange, what will be the impact on our future volumes? These are the 2 questions.
Sure. On the peak margin, yes, it did have impact in the month of March when it went up to 50%. Our ADT, you must be knowing, about 26,000 crores. And in the month of April, we have seen about 25,000 crores. But then May is seeing definitely a better growth. Yes, other things being equal, the peak margin did impact our volumes. Okay, no doubt about it. And we did represent to SEBI, looking at the commodities markets are in a nascent stage. They should consider the development of this market and the impact that it's causing on the liquidity and the depth in the market. That is one part of it. Okay. And probably we have also seen so many introduction of so many regulatory changes. Market also takes time to adjust to that. That is another way of looking at things. So but the peak margin effect has not fully come because only 50% is implemented. Another 25% will become operative if there is no change in the SEBI regulations from 1st of July. And 1st of June, and then again another 25% from 1st of September. So as it unfolds, we have to discover this impact of it. That's the way I am looking at it. But we are trying to reach out to a lot of hedgers and other participants in the market to deepen it and also bring in the necessary liquidity. We have also requested SEBI to look at a relaxation for the FII participation in the exchange traded contracts. That's one area which we are looking at it. Unlike currency market, you have maybe up to some 100 million or so. They are not required to have any exposure to currency. They are allowed to trade. So a similar request has been made. We should allow FIIs up to some point without there being any exposure in the underlying commodity should be allowed to participate. That is true for EFEs also, eligible foreign entities, EFEs. So the SEBI is examining it. Let us see what changes will come through those regulatory changes. What will happen, I do not know, but then let us expect that. That is one part of it. Then comes to the spot gold exchange. The way that it has been constructed is that the spot exchange may operate within the same exchange as a part of the segment, or it could be a separate exchange, and that is a concept paper that is being floated. At the same time, these gold spot exchange transactions will happen via a depository receipts. In the sense, the gold will be deposited in the vault, against which electronic receipt will be created. Those receipts will be traded in the securities market on the exchanges as if they are deliverable contracts. Of course they are, but then physical delivery will not take place on the exchange platform. Will it have any impact? My answer is it will only help us to grow, increase our networking effects will have a better impact on the exchange business rather than any negative impact. Yes, technology is an issue. That is where we are trying to work out how soon we can have that technology put in place, especially when we are changing over our vendor for these services. These are all the challenges that at this point in time we are dealing with. But I am confident, that we will be able to launch once our platform to deal with this is ready. Thank you.
Right. So one continuation on that part is that, so what you mean to say is that if we have a separate spot exchange, let's say it is jointly run by the exchanges or some other exchange running it, it normally should not have an impact on our future volumes that we have.
Absolutely. That is our understanding.
Okay. And one more thing, sir, regarding the variable cost that you mentioned some time back in the last question. You said it will drastically go down, the software cost. So in that sense, the EBITDA would have a uplift, and the PAT maybe. I'm saying that EBITDA-wise it will go up, right? That is what you meant to say.
That's what we expect.
Yeah, that's right. Once a new system is put into place, that is our clear understanding. Yes.
Right. And sir, in the just last question, in the spot software thing, can't TCS do the same thing, or we need to float a fresh tender or fresh somebody?
I'm sorry?
For the spot software, the spot for gold spot, if you were to apply to SEBI to do a spot thing, because we are one of the we have the right to win also over there. So over there, can't TCS do the same thing?
Yeah, TCS also has a platform. In fact, as a part of our contract, TCS has also a platform. But then, what is the time it takes to put that in place is a major question, isn't it? So when we floated the RFP, we have said we need the following products also be available. But again, some customization will be involved, integrating with the existing platform, because this is a futures platform that will be a spot platform, means on a T+2 basis the deliveries will happen. Okay, and the settlement process will be different out there. So TCS can do it, but whether they will be able to do it in 10 months, 12 months or 24 months is a challenge. That is what. And currently our focus and attention is the CDP main platform. And we do not want to disturb that. That's come what may. We would like to do a good job out there.
Right, sir. Right. And sir, in terms of spot management of spot exchanges, are we better placed than our peers in terms of spot commodities?
See, it is too speculative to say that. I would not like that, but then we already have a connect to the physical market to a great extent, so we would be able to leverage that. That's the way I would like to put it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ravi Naredi from Naredi Investments. Please go ahead.
Sir, what is liability of 342 crore we have reduced this year in current financial liability? Earlier it was 759 crore, now it is 407 crore.
As part of our clearing operations, we get a lot of margins. So those margins are collected in the form of collaterals as well as in cash. So during this financial year, as compared to March 20, there's been a reduction in the cash margin of around 350 to 400 crore. But earlier, out of the total margin, we used to get around 93% in collateral. Now it is around 88% in collateral. So that is the basic difference in March 21 and March 20.
And sir, since our currency market is now vanished, so any efforts we are doing to revive that currency market again for the MCX platform?
I am not able to understand because we were never in currency in that sense as MCX.
MCX were doing currency before I think you acquired. I think in old regime.
The MCX SX, that is a different company altogether.
Yeah. So any plan?
We have no relationship. We have no relationship.
No. Yeah, it is okay. But any plan to revive currency market to start at MCX platform?
As of now, we don't have. And we first, for anything, you need technology. And technology is the backbone of this business. So let's have a hold on that. Then we will do that. Whatever plans we can think of.
You have TCS with you. Then what is the afraid of technology? He can best provide the technology in the world now.
Absolutely right. But first we need to cross that take that first step. We need to do that. So once we deploy it in live here, then we will think of all those plans.
Anything in your mind or board's mind to start or nothing yet?
As of now, there's nothing on our drawing table.
Okay. Thank you very much. All the best, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from Susmit Patodia from Motilal Oswal Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, sir. Just to clarify, on this TCS contract again. So it's very clear that it is a buy contract. It's not a subscription contract, and you will only pay them some maintenance or support charges every year. Correct?
Yeah. You see, the way it is about 1 + 5 years, and we will pay as long as you continue to pay the AMC. Then it's a perpetual license.
Okay, and nothing is linked to your turnover or your top line. The AMC is already fixed.
Nothing. Yes, AMC is fixed, and then the annual increase in the AMC is also fixed. It's very nominal.
Okay, and you will be. And what would be the outlay at the beginning? Is that a number that you can disclose?
I think the contractual terms do not allow us to disclose the numbers in terms of.
Okay. Okay, got it. And my second question is, if you can just tell us, as the margin requirement increases, it also adds to your own cash balance, which you can gain other income from. Correct?
No. Margins can be paid even using the bank guarantees, etc. So not necessarily in the form of cash.
Okay. So what percentage of the margins in the new regime is coming from non-interest earning assets?
That's what he said. Last year it was 88% was in non-interest earning assets. Now it is 95% is in non-interest earning assets. Okay. Although the margin has increased. In fact, how much it was? Yeah, it's all more or less the same. Last year also 5,500 crores approximately. So the margin amounts remain the same, but the composition altered.
Right. And sir, my last question is, you can give us an update on what about the banking channel? That has been much lower than one would have imagined the pickup there. So what is stopping them? Is there an API issue? Can you just give us some details?
See, often we get to know that, one is that, put it this way, there are three parts to it, like one is the speculators and arbitrageurs, and other one is the hedgers and maybe somebody who takes delivery also. Here, the challenge is of the GST for many of them. Even if somebody wants to take a delivery and then keep it, and then, as a financial player, if they are earning good amount of interest, vyaj badla, then they would like to participate. But then they need to have a GST registration the moment it takes delivery. And even for those who have already have a registration, there are issues which are related to GST, because they may not have registrations in various states where we have delivery centers. Okay. And that's another challenge. So these are the ones we are trying to resolve, and we approach the government to make all transactions on the exchange as IGST transactions, unless both buyer and seller are in the same state. So, but then that addresses only those ones who have GST registration. But a lot of others do not have, but still desire to do this and trade. But we have another alternative which we are proposing now. We thought through, and we discussed with tax consultant and took their approval also on the draft note. As we are collecting STT, CTT, or stamp duty, etc., maybe whether the clearing corporation can transpose itself in this place, and then see whether we can do something there, subject to government's approval, of course. So we are looking at, we are toying with various ideas, and PMS participation is also to that extent got restricted, because again the same reason, if the PMS has to hold in the individual account the delivery of stock that they are getting it, then each one should have a GST registration. That's a challenge. So let's look at it. Let us see how we will be able to break this deadlock or break this barrier. But all that I can say is some of the banks, for example, ICICI, just today I learned that they have launched a mobile app. Okay. So we are looking at wherever retail participants can come using these kind of devices. But the same way what happened in equities. Today we are not anywhere close to the equity markets development. So these are all products are introduced by these bank broking houses. Probably greater participation will come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Best of luck, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from one of Amit Khetan from Nirmal Bang Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Amit from Laburnum Capital. So my question is around two questions. One is on the technology side again. So if I understand you can't disclose the upfront amount, but could you give a sense of the annual what you call running cost, right? If I understand correctly, is around 50 crores per year on your software charges. What could be the savings there on an annual basis once the new software is the new platform is implemented?
It's substantially, you understand, the substantially lower. That's the way I say it. Substantially lower.
But like you can't put some figure around it. Maybe from 50 it will come down to what, 30?
No, even much less. Okay. Much less.
Got it. All right. And second question is around. So if I look at your value participation, data that you share on the exchange, the participation by hedgers is very small. So what steps are you taking to deepen this end of the market? And why aren't large corporates, say, hedging on your exchange versus international exchange? Like, I want to understand what's preventing them from hedging on MCX. Is it liquidity? Is it some regulatory issue?
Yeah, it's a good question. Tell you why. One is that the the credit lines that are available, the brokers arrange for it in international markets. Here it is a challenge, okay? And the brokers are not able to do that. Maybe even if there is a credit line arranged, the tripartite kind of agreements are not permitted, where broker will also ensure that the client doesn't default for the securities, the money that he has taken. Second part of it, which is equally important, is here you have to, on a day-to-day basis, you have to do the M2M. Okay, in those, again, because of these credit lines, that issue doesn't arise. You invest in a contract and then forget about it. Maybe as your inventory requirements are called for it, you will keep juggling that number of contract that you buy or sell and all that stuff. But then that challenge is not there because broker takes care of it using that kind of a credit line, that the M2Ms. Maybe the company may be giving just one collateral, that's all, in the form of whatever bank guarantee or whatever that they need to give. Another important thing which we also has learned is that some of them want to have a dollar-denominated contracts, and ours is a rupee denominated. We do explain that even the currency risk is also taken care of it because we have a rupee denominated contract. But their point of view, you should leave it to the choice of the investor whether they want to have it in the dollar or dollar denominated hedging, or they want to do it another leg of currency risk mitigation, or they may not do it for at all. The currency risk, they may not see any problem out there. So the bigger organizations are going for that. Third, which is equally important, is the foreign contracts do not have as much liquidity as we expected. Obviously, liquidity cannot be provided by the exchange as such. We can provide a platform, we can provide a robust risk management system, and then do the participants to trade, expect the participant to trade. Here, I would like to highlight, government has banned, RBI, the gold to be hedged in overseas markets. As a result, the whole business is shifted onto the exchange platform, and that's why it's doing well. I'm not, although it is my ask or it is my desire, we are not saying that such a restrictive practice be adopted, but at the same time, we would like the corporations to take a serious look at it, how to develop the domestic industry. But notwithstanding the participation of these people, still we are able to attract the MSMEs, medium and small players, essentially because our contract size is maybe 1/10 of what is being traded in international markets, so it suits their requirements. And second is that they may not have the access to the foreign currency, etc., where they will be able to dabble in international markets, so they are able to do that business in the domestic market. But at the same time, if we bring in these smaller players, as we grow bigger and bigger, we will definitely have the benefit of their participation, and the liquidity pool will increase on the exchange platform. But one important thing which also you need to bear in mind is some of the bigger players, okay, who have LME registered, for example, metal brands, they are already trading on the exchange platform. They look at it as a last resort. If they think that if they have to clear the month-end stocks, okay, which are lying on that, and MCX price is good, they simply sell the contract and then deliver the metal. And it happened many times. So it's not that they are not doing it. They are doing it very selectively, I would say. And there should be an opportunity for them to do it. That's the way they are doing it. But yes, hedging, they have not used it in the way that I desire and I hope. And we have been engaging with them all along. And I would say, one reason or the other, in whichever way you call it, one reason or the other, they are not doing it, bigger players. This is my submission. But again, I have said earlier before in another some time ago that we have made a representation to FIIs who can become a financial players, increase the depth in the market, and similarly EFEs without exposure. Today, London or CME, wherever the players are playing, they don't have the players do not have exposure in London or in Britain or in US. They have in some other countries, still they are permitted to hedge in those markets. Similarly, Indian government regulators also, we desire them to permit these EFEs and others without exposure also they should be able to participate. Then the depth will increase. Thank you. I hope I have answered.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Karthik from Investec India. Please go ahead.
Sir, thanks for the time. One question which I had was our options market.
May I request you to speak over the handset, please?
Yeah. Is this better?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Our options market share in bullion has actually gone down, and we see that BSE has been doing well. Any reason why?
In fact, yes. You see the options turnover on the exchange platform on MCX and the open interest that is with the exchange versus the turnover of whatever it is you are talking about and the open interest. Without open interest, creating any amount of turnover is no meaning. Let's understand that is the way the business works. Now, we have at times even 3-ton or 5-ton what you call open interest, even with whatever turnover that we have it. And there you can count on kgs, okay, 20 kgs, 30 kgs, even less than that. So 3,000 crores is the turnover, namesake, but the open interest is 20 kgs, 30 kgs. Ours is maybe 400 crores turnover, but you have an open interest of 4 tons, 5 tons. So it makes a great difference.
Fair enough, sir. I was just double checking that. Secondly, in general, the auction business hasn't taken off as much as one would have anticipated, especially equity options do so well in India. With the recent regulatory changes in terms of devolvement also, options haven't taken up as much. Any understanding there? What's going on?
Yes. By and large, these are, you're right, these are retail products, and some of our contracts, especially for gold, for example, 1 kilo gold, and what is the value of it and the premium of it itself is substantially high. And the tenure is also long because it's a 2-month contract. So as such, the premium paid is substantially high. We expect these option contracts to be more of a retail products than for any hedgers or big corporates or anybody who are in this business. So we need to bring down the cost of the premium costs, and unless we reduce the contract size, it will not happen. And that's why we are introducing other products, and then we would like to launch maybe again it depends on some of the technological changes that are happening. On 100 gram gold that we have contract, if option is launched, option on futures we would like to launch, not on option on goods, and probably it may find some traction.
And last bit is I see that.
Sorry, Karthik, I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. I request all the participants, please restrict to one question per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from Deepan Shankar from Trustline Holdings Portfolio. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thanks a lot for the opportunity. So firstly, are we expecting steep volume decline when the final phase of peak margin requirements implemented in 1st September? And are we seeing trend of retail investors shifting more towards options in that case?
We did find, of course, we did find some kind of traction in options due to the peak margin being imposed. But I can't, say anything at this point in time. If the peak margins are increased to its fullest extent, what happens to the turnover and the client base? My view is people do get adjusted, and I think they got adjusted because already it is 50%, and we don't fear any kind of decline, or put it that way, any steep decline in business. But at the same time, we are trying to see how we can mitigate the margin pressure on the member brokers. In fact, we have also given a suggestion where the intraday contracts may attract a lower margin. The day and open interest positions may attract a higher margin, because the overnight risk, when the markets are closed and then other markets are open, they attract a higher margin so that it will take care of the overnight risk. But the intraday contracts can have volatility-based margins. So let us see. Some of these proposals will, if they find a favorable response, I'm sure we will be able to address these issues. Thank you.
So even if there is impact, it could be short term, but over long term, these things could be adjusted, right assumption?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Thanks a lot and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Devesh Agarwal from ISL Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Firstly, harping on this new margin rules. So clearly there was an impact in March. But could you give some idea in terms of within the mix how it was, whether the impact was much more for retail investors or the algo trade saw a sharper decline? So some idea on that account. And when it has come back in May, what has actually driven? Which segment of investors have driven back this?
No, obviously it will be more on the retailers rather than the algo players or proprietary traders. Okay, and but then as you see the numbers again in the month of May, the numbers are looking good. Okay, and so far the ADT, maybe first few days of ADT in the month of May is 31,000. Yes, April is bad to 25,000. And other things being equal, they will impact the peak margin. But if other things also play on the favorable side to offset the peak margin impact, then we don't need to worry about this aspect at all.
Okay. And sir, on the new software, you said implementation is likely by July. I missed. Is it you're talking about 21 or 22?
22. Our contract is there till 22 September.
Okay. So from July 22 onwards, you will be migrate to the new software.
Yeah, that's what our plan.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arun Kumar from Ariel Capital Group. Please go ahead. Arun Kumar, may I request you to unmute your line from your side and go ahead with your question? Arun Kumar, we are unable to hear you. May I request you to unmute your line from your side and go ahead with your question? Due to no response, we move on to the next participant. Next question is from the line of Neetajali, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
I have two questions. Where are we on electricity futures, and what other products are we planning in the coming days? And second one, what response or what traction are you seeing from bank subsidiaries eligible for commodity trading? Thank you.
Yes. On the electricity futures, we have already submitted the proposal to SEBI, and as I said, still the matter is in the Supreme Court. Unless the Supreme Court passes an order, the consent order that has been filed, I don't think we will be able to launch the contract because we don't have any approval as yet. Now, meanwhile, whatever is the background work that needs to be done, we have already done that. We are also engaged with market participants, engaging them to understand the contract specifications and how they can benefit from this contract. Also, we have also conducted a lot of webinars with international players also, and it has received a good response. So this is the way that that electricity futures contract has done so far. I mean, that is just lying there. In fact, we have made a presentation to the regulators also. On the subsidiaries of the banks, I've already said in the beginning of some of them have seen a very good traction. As against Q3, Q4, it has got doubled, some of them. And as I said that even today I learned that ICICI Securities has launched a mobile app, and some more are going to do that. And but am I satisfied? My answer is no. Let's be very candid about this. There's a long way to go. As I said, some of the concerns related to GST are coming in the way for them to sell it aggressively to the retail investors. And that's a challenge. It's not that equity shares you open a demat account, it goes and then lies there. No. Here is a different kind of animal altogether. Even if it lies in the Comrisk, which is a demat account, but still the material is lying in the warehouse for which owner is identified, and that owner should have the GST registration. This is a major challenge. Thank you.
And any new products we are planning this financial year?
Any?
New products we are launching this financial year?
Yeah, I probably you must have joined late, but then I have said that we are also planning to launch aluminum alloy contract, planning to launch about steel long bars, again subject to regulatory approvals.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A request to all the participants, please restrict to one question so the management can answer all the participants' questions. The next question is from the line of Amit Chandra from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, this is Amit Chandra from HDFC Securities. So, sir, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, in the initial remarks, you mentioned that the algo volume, the contribution is at 40%. And if I see that this 40% was around 46% last year. So it has been coming down. So, is the increase in margins the reason for that, or if you see any other reason to it? And also, in terms of the index contracts, the volume there is not picking up, and also the share of the institutional participation in the overall volume mix is even now less than 1%. So when we will see traction in this segment, and also you mentioned that you started charging for the index contracts. So is the rate or slab structure the same as the futures, or is it different?
Yes, the last question first. So the rate is the same. There's no change in it. Okay. On the algo players, in fact, as I said, 1920 it was 37.15, and average this across various quarters, and current year it is 41%. Okay, algo players. So that is the way it is. So peak margin is not adversely affected in the sense the algo players are there. and maybe some of the retail players have gone out, and that is the way this has impacted. That's why their percentage also gone up. That's the way I read. And the third question is
on the index contracts volume not picking up and the institutional participation.
No, index contracts did pick up. In fact, as I speak, this month so far we have about 400 crores ADT. And you can ask, are you satisfied? The answer is no. Okay, as I said, we are expecting what you call a cross margin benefit between this particular contract and the underlying assets. Okay, if you have if you have a contra positions in both the contracts, underlying contracts as well as in the index features, you should get the benefit. That's one part of it. Second, we have already reached, in some cases, some instances are there where the individual contract size has a lot. I mean, the position limits are already touched. So we have appealed to SEBI to relax those individual contract position limits. So if position limits are relaxed, obviously some more positions these clients will be able to take. It's like that. So.
Okay. And on the institutional participation, sir?
Yeah, on the mutual funds, I think as I said the last time, I think was 3-4 of them are there, and at this point in them only 4. We are also pitching for silver ETF to be permitted in the industry, so that they will be able to hold them using the silver contracts on the exchange platform. And let us see. That's one thing that should be able to again bring in more volumes. But institutional participation, as I have already said also, these FIs, we made a presentation, a detailed presentation recently organized a week ago or so, where the EFEs, FIs, PMS, NRIs, they almost about 60 people have gathered around the table, and SEBI officials were present, and they presented what are the issues that challenges they are facing, and what is the remedial measures that they are asking for. So it's been already given. I'm sure SEBI is going to consider it favorably in the light of development that they are. They wanted the market to grow substantially. I'm sure they will look at the same development path as they did in the case of equities.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ravi Purohit from SIMPL. Please go ahead.
Hi. So most of my questions have been answered. Just wanted to kind of, check one thing. You had mentioned that you started charging for index contracts or option contracts from this contract, from this point?
Index future contract. Index futures.
Index future contract. The options are still not chargeable?
No. Options we charge only on the premium. If
okay.
What is 1,000 crores is this one, premium would be hardly anything.
Right. Okay. And sir, any thoughts on increased participation in the indices? Because if let's say earlier there were a lot of transactions happening where the delivery was made mandatory, but now when you trade on indices, there is no delivery, there is no concept of delivery. So there was a lot of speculative interest, so to speak. Have you seen any shift in that category?
See, index futures, as I said, it just started last year. Maybe just 6 months old contract, I would say. And if the volume is in the month of May is about 400 crores, and maybe 2/3 is Bull Dex and 1/3 is Metal Dex. and it will take some time to get this traction.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking out loud, since there is no mandatory, there is no compulsion for anyone to take delivery. Last year, I think we had a lot of issues in margins, mandatory delivery in certain contracts, and so therefore this kind of becomes a interesting instrument to kind of
That is the selling point of this contract.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. All the best.
Bye.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Chaudhary from Zenith. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question has been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Siddhant Dand from Goodwill Warehousing. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify on the question that was asked before on the options contract traded on the competitor's exchange. So, but if you see gold, then we are not getting any volume or a very negligible volume in it compared to our competitor. So, end of the day, even turnover will matter over there, right? Because of the liquidity, we'll see shift in clients. So, have we been seeing that?
See, I think more than anybody else, we track on a daily basis, and why daily, even hourly basis. And you should see maybe on any trading day,